Since we got that news of that new Wolverine that Insomniac Games is about to drop in 2026, I decided to look through my little library shelf and pick out X-Men Wolverine's Origins. That game that had us hyped for this, had our hopes up, hoping that we would get Wolverine slashing, gashing, and splashing people all over the place. Yeah, man, I decided to play this game. Let's have a talk, man. I'm afraid to say this is one of those times where the nostalgia is a little nasty, man. This game, let's start off with the good. Right from the beginning, this game shows you that the gore is gonna be on 10. It is not gonna be like the PG rated movie that it was even tied in from. I mean, like, the first thing you're gonna see is him pierce somebody's brain through a wall. Yes, this game is Wolverine rated M for mature. He slashes people, limbs comes off, he gets shot, his muscles and skeleton get exposed, and the mechanics work in such a way that his skin regenerates back. My first time ever playing this game was a demo that came out a long time ago. I played the demo, and the demo is basically just the start of the game. I want to say it's like the first level in the game, so I pretty much got to go down memory lane at the beginning. This was one of my favorite demos back then, but now that I got the game in my hands, I'm finding out that the demo was probably all they had back in the day, because I went and I watched the movie too. The movie tried so hard to be this epic Wolverine movie. It starts off with him as a kid getting exposed to his claws for the first time, him going through all these different wars with Sabretooth, him meeting up with that team that Stryker put together, that mutant death squad. This is your first time ever seeing Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. The dude who played the Blob was funny. Everybody in that movie were putting their mutant powers on display. Even Will.i.am was on there. The movie got a story that comes together, but one thing that we can't forget is that even Deadpool eventually wanted to cancel this timeline in this movie, or himself in this timeline, because this is the story that had the controversial mouthless Deadpool on there, the Wade Wilson who got his mouth sewn shut. The story from the movie was mid as hell. They stripped that down even more in this game. This game is just a bunch of set pieces put together with Wolverine running through slashing people, and while that slashing was very nice for the demo back then, when you do this for hours and hours, me personally, the repetition started getting extra heavy on me, especially when I found out I was gonna be playing through African jungles for half of the game, like 50% of the game. And when I say that, I mean that this game starts as a flashback, then you go to another timeline, and then you go back to the jungles in Africa, and then you go to another timeline, and then you go back to the jungles of Africa. You keep doing this throughout the entire game. I was so tired of seeing jungles and African warriors with dual-wielded machetes by the end that I was just like, I don't want to go back. Please don't let me go back and see another tree-ridden forest full of dudes with no shirts coming at me with molten lava powers. I was tired, man. This is a bare bones story with all types of stuff thrown together. It would be so much better if there was more variety. One thing that I'm starting to see with these movie tie-in games is that time could put toxic pressure for these games to be released. So they would be like, hey, the combat is satisfying, let's just throw them into these levels and let's just make sure that we could put this together, throw in a few boss fights, and then make sure that these correlate with the movie, and boom, we gonna end it with that fight with Deadpool on top of that nuclear refinery thing that Homer Simpson works at. By the time I got to the end of this game, I could only talk about a few good things. Besides everything that the demo showed me, things that I liked were, there were a few extra costumes, and then there were a few moments where Wolverine was just funny as hell. That shit just had me laughing like,
get back, freak! You're nothing more than an animal that should be terminated. Then what are you waiting for? Shoot me!
And it's sometimes where crazy glitches would happen where I would like cut limbs off and the limbs would get stuck to walls and everything. Other than that, y'all, the demo pretty much has everything that this game has to offer besides the boss fights and a few more environments that the levels take you through. But that is not gonna be the end of this video. See, sometimes I have little bonuses, Easter eggs for any of my viewers that are willing to stay with me throughout these videos. So if any of y'all are still here, you get this gift. X2 Wolverine's Revenge. I also have that sitting on my shelf and I decided to play through that game. And when I was a kid, I had this game and I gotta say, I had to be using cheat codes to get through this game. I'm talking level select, infinite life, because this game is hard as hell. When I say that, this game has moments where you have no choice but to eat bullets or be stealthy. And while I like the tactical stealth situations that this game has to offer, you got your stealth takedowns, you have the option to retract your claws and pull them out to be either faster with your combos or to do more damage. And this game here also has the atmosphere down for the comics. I felt much closer to the X-Men cartoon.
Days before it goes toxic.
2 days? That's my birthday. Ain't that a kick in the head?
Our estimates could be wrong.
I read a few comics back in my day, especially when Wolverine had his own solo comic series. For me, honestly, I like Wolverine's Revenge better than Origins. I like the atmosphere, I like the costumes even more, the way how the story is set up, the music is more epic to me in this game, and the environments just felt like they were paced in a much better way than Origins. It didn't get too repetitive for me. Sometimes I was messing up and dying a lot because I chose to go through this game without using any cheats. Unlike when I was a kid, I was like, man, I want to try and go through this game, but it's some places in this game that were obviously not tested. When I was going through some moments, I was like, this is impossible to go through if I want to stay stealthy, because they're gonna make me get discovered and have 20 dudes aiming at me with plasma rifles and about 4 sentry turrets aiming at me at the same time. I don't know if they expected me to have some type of super mode or be swinging around, or if Wolvie was supposed to have guns or something like that. But yeah, man, this game right here has a bunch of different characters popping up on the scene. It has Mark Hamill voicing Wolverine, which works surprisingly well when I sit back and listen to it. One of the things that annoyed me the most about this game is this death cry that he has. Look at him serving up barrels, Put that shit down. Hey, my health! My health! My fuck! Whenever I died so many times, but I eventually figured it out and I got all the way to the credits. This game might not have the gore and glory of Wolverine being expressed like Origins, but it's still a dark game with its own charm to me. I mean, there was times where Wolverine rescued a dude by punching him in the face and throwing him beside a truck so he wouldn't fall off a cliff. The feral vision in this game is much better than Origins. You can see every footstep. You can see the scent trails of people walking around. On Origins, whenever you use the vision, it was just a way to tell you where to go when you're going through those linear levels. But in this game, it was more tactical. It was thermal vision for those lasers. It was showing you where dudes were if they were hiding around the corner. It was showing you the footsteps of somebody that you was tracking. And while this game had a lot more difficulty, I like the pacing of this game so much better because it was so much more variety in the environments, the enemies, the bosses. Even though the bosses had some insane gimmicks, this was the time when they wanted you to go look up a strategy guide or buy a separate strategy guide that came with the game, because the hints in this game were not helping me at all. I had to do a Rubik's Cube equations in my head to figure out how to beat some of these bosses, or go back in my memory bank to reach back into the depths of my childhood memories to remember how I beat some of these bosses as a kid. If you have a physical copy of this game, you even get a movie ticket in the manual for this game. It makes me wonder, because at the end of this game, The levels get so rushed and all the cutscenes become bare bones. The dialogue gets crazy. Professor X talks to you telepathically like he's got his own codec. Like you can hear it's Patrick Stewart voicing Professor X, but sometimes in those later levels in the game, you just see text pop up at the top of the screen. It looks like it could have been dialogue, but it's not voiced anymore. And then when you go to some of these boss fights at the end, it's damn near impossible to beat without cheat codes, because sometimes you just get slayed instantly with no way of fighting back unless you just get pinpoint accurate with the mechanics. It is so funny that this game was rated T for teen. I think they just tried to rush all this at the end to get it to coincide with the release date of the movie. I would love to see what this game was supposed to be if it wasn't tied and dragged by the movie, because the plot and the atmosphere feels nothing like the movie. The characters don't even look like the movie characters. They have their own style. I love Sabretooth's design, his modern day design. I love Wolverine's new X-Men suit, as they say in the game. The different comic books show the different costumes when you unlock them. But yeah, man, that's X2 Wolverine's Revenge. Like, the playability in the later half, in the gimmicks, and the way how the story and stuff got so rushed in the later half of the game, like, it takes away so many points from this game's quality, man.
This is the one you want? He seems rather uncontrollable.
Yes, he is the one I need.
And that is
pure survivor.
Apocalypse.
Truly one of the strong. Begin making preparations for my newest horseman.
That's gonna be it for this video. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. That's a double feature, surprise double feature. Those two Wolverine games that came out back then. I told my homie that I give them 2 shit shakes out of 10. I think it's mostly because they had to be released at a certain date with no negotiations due to movie releases that coincided with them. It ultimately took away from those games. The later half of those games get real sloppy. In Origin's case, it was just super repetitive. I don't think they had too many ideas to make a full game. The demo was nice, but as soon as you get past all that other stuff, the repetition and all of the story beats just get completely disregarded. In Revenge's case, I like the atmosphere and everything, but the jank in that game and the difficulty balance was horrible, and that shit was causing me to lose hair. That's why I'm so happy that Insomniac gets a chance to have some fun with Wolverine as a character. We'll see what they do. Usually they do pretty good with their stories, and they do pretty good with their gameplay. Those are 2 things that take away from these older games in the Wolverine legacy. Let's see what they got next, man. I'll catch y'all in the next video. The sickest game ever.
Wakey, wakey.
And look, they like,
Wakey.
they hit their nuts up against the bedpost whenever you yank them. That's crazy.